All right, so you want to dive deep into the AI revolution, huh? Specifically, how it's going to shake things up in Argentina.
It's a really interesting angle, right? Going beyond the global AI narrative and really zooming in on Argentina.
Absolutely. And you're smart to be thinking about how this impacts your own career path, which is something we can really dig into. But first, let's address the elephant in the room. Are robots going to be coming for everyone's jobs in Argentina?
Well, it's not quite as simple as that. We actually looked into this, and Dante Sisic, he's an economist and was Argentina's Minister of Production and Labor. He argues that we should really be looking at AI as a tool.
To like be more productive.
Exactly, to boost productivity, not to completely replace human workers.
Hmm.
He specifically mentioned how AI could be really effective for those tedious tasks like administrative work and anything that's super repetitive.
Okay, so no robot uprising just yet. But I bet you're thinking, well, great, the robots can handle the paperwork, but what about everything else?
That's a fair question, and it brings us to an important point. The Digital Ease report actually shows a massive increase in AI-related jobs. Get this, a 454% jump in job postings between 2019 and 2023.
Whoa, 454%. So, yeah, some jobs will change, but that suggests a ton of new opportunities opening up too, right? Like in things we hear about, cybersecurity, data analysis, AI
You
ethics.
got it. And this is where Sika's idea of a more modern education system in Argentina comes into play.
Because we need people who are equipped to handle these new jobs.
Exactly. He really emphasizes how crucial it is to give the workforce, especially someone like you who's thinking ahead, the right skills to thrive in this changing job market.
So, less about fearing the robots and more about adapting and learning new things. Lifelong learning, as they say.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that AI won't affect every job in the same way. We looked at an analysis by the Secretariat of Trabajo, and they found a fascinating trend.
Oh, what's that? Like certain jobs are more at risk than others?
Exactly. It's like a tale of two Argentinas.
Mhm.
Highly skilled jobs, think managers, scientists, those have a much higher chance of being affected by AI, over 90% in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have sectors that are more hands-on, like construction or agriculture, and those are seeing way less impact, at least for now.
Makes sense. A construction worker isn't going to be replaced by a robot overnight, at least not yet. But someone in finance, where things are already pretty automated, that's a different story.
Exactly. And this is why being able to adapt is so important, especially for anyone working in fields where AI is becoming a bigger deal. Speaking of which, two sectors really jumped out at us in terms of potential impact: finance and education.
Okay, those are big ones. What makes them particularly vulnerable to, I guess you could say, AI disruption?
Well, the Secretary de Trabajo's analysis showed that more than 90% of jobs in both sectors could be affected. And it's not hard to see why, right? We already have algorithms making trades on the stock market. And when it comes to education, those personalized learning platforms are only becoming more popular.
Wow, that is a huge impact. Are there other industries where we see this same trend?
Yeah, trade and energy also popped up, with over 70% of jobs potentially in the line of fire, especially those with, you guessed it, repetitive tasks. But like we were saying earlier, construction, fishing, and agriculture are much further down on the list for now.
So it seems like some sectors are really embracing the AI revolution while others are taking a bit more of a wait and see approach. It's pretty clear that AI is already changing things in Argentina, even if it's not robots taking over just yet.
Right, and it makes you wonder how Argentina's economic situation right now, the recession, how that plays into all of this.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Did the experts have anything to say about that?
They did, actually.
Yeah.
We came across an analysis by Jose Vargas. He's an economist and the director at EvalueCon, and he brought up something really important. Well, he said that AI, yeah, it can increase productivity and even wages for some people, but it also has the potential to push people out of jobs and even cause wages to drop in certain industries.
Yeah, that's the other side of the coin, isn't it? It's not all going to be positive for everyone.
Exactly. And Vargas thinks that this recession that's going on in Argentina, it could actually slow down how quickly AI changes things in the job market. When the economy is struggling, new technology doesn't always take off as quickly.
So it's almost like AI is waiting for the right moment to make its big entrance.
That's a really good way to put it. But it also means that people have time to prepare. If individuals and the government can anticipate these changes, invest in education and training, Argentina could come out of this ahead.
It's always better to be prepared, right?
Absolutely. Now, we've been focusing on Argentina, but this is obviously a global shift we're talking about.
For sure, AI isn't just limited to one country. So where does Argentina fit in with everything else that's happening with AI and jobs around the world?
Well, we actually have some insights from Satya Nadella. He's the CEO of Microsoft, and he has a pretty global view of this whole thing.
Okay, and what's his take?
He's firmly in the camp that believes AI will make people more efficient, and not just in one place, but everywhere. And he seems to think this is just the beginning.
So he's on board with the whole AI as a productivity booster idea.
Definitely. And it's worth mentioning that Microsoft, with Nadella leading the charge, they've been pouring money into AI, including OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, which everyone and their grandmother seems to be talking about these days.
Oh yeah, ChatGPT. It's kind of mind-blowing what it can do, if I'm honest, but also, a tiny bit intimidating.
I get it. It definitely makes you think. But Nadella's point is that we're just scratching the surface of what AI can do. So getting a handle on this technology now, it's going to be crucial for anyone who wants to stay ahead of the game.
It's like learning a new language almost. It might be tough at first, but once you get it, think about all the doors it could open.
And just like learning a new language, getting comfortable with AI could be your ticket to navigating this whole new technological world that's emerging.
So Nadella seems pretty optimistic about AI in the workplace, but he must realize that some jobs are going to be affected more than others, right?
Oh, absolutely. He acknowledges, along with a lot of other experts, that some fields, particularly those in professional services, think doctors, lawyers, accountants, they're going to see a pretty big shift.
Yeah, those were the jobs where people used to say, oh, a robot could never do that. But now, who knows?
Exactly. And it really highlights that this isn't about AI versus humans. It's about figuring out how to use AI to make what humans already do even better.
So more of a collaboration than a competition?
Exactly. And that brings us to a really fascinating question. If AI starts taking care of all those routine tasks, what happens to those things that make us human? The things AI can't do.
That's something I've been wondering about too. If AI is handling all the data analysis and automation, does that mean things like creativity, critical thinking, and being able to understand and work with people, do those things become even more valuable?
That's a brilliant point, and it's something that Jose Vargas also brought up in his analysis.
Oh, really? What did he say?
He actually suggested that as AI becomes more common in the workplace, those uniquely human skills, those are what will make certain people and even entire countries stand out from the crowd.
It's like we need to double down on being human, focusing on the things that AI can't replicate.
Exactly. It's about finding that synergy between human intelligence and artificial intelligence.
Finding how those two things can work together, not against each other.
Exactly. And this is where your deep dive takes an interesting turn. We've talked about the potential impact on Argentina, the good and the bad, but the real question is, what does this mean for you?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? So we've covered a ton of ground here, like how AI could really shake things up in Argentina's job market, the good and the maybe not so good that come with it, and why being able to adapt is going to be so important. But now it's time to get down to brass tacks. What does all of this mean for you?
That's the big question, right?
Yeah.
We've been talking about the growing demand for those AI-related skills, but we can't forget about the things that make us different from AI, those human skills that are tough, maybe even impossible for AI to replicate.
Right, like creativity, critical thinking, being able to solve problems, emotional intelligence, all those things that require, empathy, gut feelings, and a real understanding of other humans.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And those are the skills that are going to be even more important as AI starts handling more the routine, data-heavy tasks.
So if you're aiming to thrive in this AI-driven world, you've got to figure out what those human-centric skills are for you and really hone them. It's about complementing the technology, not competing with it.
It's about finding that sweet spot where human ingenuity meets AI.
And that's where taking stock of your own passions and talents comes in. What gets you fired up? What are your natural strengths? And how can you use those strengths to not just survive, but thrive in this new landscape?
And never stop learning. The skills that are in high demand today might be old news in a few years.
It's all about being curious, being willing to adapt, and always being on the lookout for new knowledge and experiences. Remember earlier when you were talking about being worried about AI's impact on your career? Well, after this deep dive, do you have a better sense of what you could actually do to future-proof yourself?
Right. It sounds like a good first step is taking a hard look at your skills, seeing where the gaps are, and then, boom, start filling them. Online courses, workshops, finding a mentor, there are tons of ways to upskill and stay ahead of the curve.
And don't underestimate the importance of connecting with other people in your field. Networking, going to industry events, keeping up with the latest trends, that can give you a real advantage.
Absolutely. And all those soft skills we were talking about before, things like communication, collaboration, being adaptable, those are going to be more important than ever in a world where human connection and creative problem solving are so valuable.
So as we wrap things up here, remember this. The future isn't set in stone. It's being shaped right now by people like you, people who are brave enough to embrace change, invest in their own growth, and use the power of technology to make things better.
We hope this deep dive gave you a good roadmap for navigating this exciting and, yeah, maybe a little scary world of AI.
Remember, the future belongs to those who prepare for it. And on that note, here's something to think about. As AI continues to evolve, what role will you play in shaping how it impacts Argentina, and maybe even the entire world?
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.